Hi there, it's Mark, and welcome to Book Ramble. This one's different, because I'm going to be talking about a book. It's this one, James A Michener's Centennial. And I am going to do episodes regarding this. But this really came about because for quite a while I've been thinking of books that have influenced myself and changed the trajectory of my life in many cases. I can think about 5 books that I could talk about. This is going to be one of them. This one was the first one that really changed my life, I think. And the reason I've decided to go ahead is because Shonin Shelf, after a hiatus of 4 months, came back today as I'm recording, funnily enough. And he's got this fantastic idea. And I'm just so looking forward to seeing it develop. In fact, by the time this comes out, that would have been 2 months back, probably. The idea is he's going to do infrequent episodes, probably one a month. He's got a shelf behind him, and he's going to stock it with books of people he will talk to. And it's their favourite book. It's just fantastic. Really support that. Look forward to seeing that develop. I thought, I've got to go ahead then and talk about the books that's influenced me. Not to black cat you, Shonin, but it's something I've been thinking about, and this is the first one. But why this? It was the late 70s. I was about 13. Onto British TV, unannounced, came this TV series, American TV series called Centennial, based on the book. Brilliant. My dad and I used to watch it, especially the first 4 or 5 episodes. And it was about men specifically, non-indigenous men, like Pasquinel, who was a hunter of beaver to get the pelts to send back to Europe. He was a Quebecois. And a Scotsman called McKeag. And there's an Amish guy called Levi Zent, who leaves Lancaster County, gets on a Conestoga, probably something like this, and then goes out to Oregon, but ending up in Colorado, where this is set. And they're just brilliant, memorable people. Lame Beaver, the chief of the Arapaho, means our people, the tribe that tend to be in the area in which this is set. It's just north of Denver, along the Platte, at a fictitious place called Centennial. And ironically, there is now a real Centennial place, just south of Denver, I believe. It was named because of this book. Centennial because the state, when it was named, the original place of this fictitious town was Levi's or Zent's farm. And then about 100 years after, the Centennial changed its name to Centennial and so on. Just a brilliant name. And what it taught me very early on is that history does not have to be dry. It could be so memorable. But what it does, it uses fictitious people. They're not real. All the people you come across, I think there's 1 or 2 real historical people here. And it considers the often difficult history of that place and time. So in chapter 7, the massacre, it's about a fictitious militia led by a fictitious captain, fictitious massacre of the people in the area that this is set, of local Indians. So it's not shy of talking about terrible periods in history, but it's the full gamut, about a 200 period of history throughout, about how this area became tamed and settled by pretty much outsiders. And it's just brilliant. It's just so memorable. You don't need real people, because what I've come to learn is that when it comes to history, most of the facts that we think and the events, we don't know who took part. We have no names for people, really, of most battles. We don't know everybody who was at the Battle of Agincourt or Hastings or even Trafalgar. This is the second book I wrote, and it's similar to some extent in that it uses fictitious people. People that you can then, as an author, put thoughts into their minds, and you can put them in places. So it starts off at the Battle of Copenhagen, 1801. I mentioned real ships that were there and real captains, but it's a pilot that I use that we see the battle through his eyes. And that's what happens with this book. We see events throughout history through the eyes of fictitious people. And it works. It works superbly well. And it changed my life. It got me hooked more into history. But a history that the author brings alive. So I've shied away from reading too dry an account of anything because of this. He actually started after the war. He did Tales of the South Pacific, which was made into a brilliant musical. What's the song from there? I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. He wrote Hawaii, which was made into a film, Julie Andrews. This, in America, he's done Alaska, Hawaii, Texas, Chesapeake. He did Space, which was about putting man into space and on the moon. He did South Africa in a book called Covenant. He did Poland. And he did a brilliant one, which I'm definitely going to do, called The Source, which was about the Holy Land. Again, a fictitious place. And each chapter just gives you an insight into the people, what they're going through. It actually is unusual with all these books because the first part talks about the geological history of how the land was made and dinosaurs, which he doesn't normally do with his other books. So it's really good. That book changed my life. And how great is that? That you can revisit a book throughout all your life because it just resonates with you. I could open a page now and it would just jump out at me. Now remember, I'll just randomly choose one. Where are we? We're at the Cowboys. On the morning after his arrival at Zent's farm, Seacombe, filed for the ultra-critical section at Skunk Hollow. Yeah, Seacombe. Englishman to run what became known as a massive farm, an estate, which goes into Wyoming. So it's just a brilliant book that fills out a lot of gaps in the history of places and the geology and the geography and the movement of people. Exceptional. But a big book to read. You have to put the effort in. So that's the first one. One of probably 5 I'll talk about. And definitely one I'm going to be doing sometime in the future. So, ta-ta for now.